Welcome back to Full Circle with Mikali. Thursday morning, that means we get to eat namacho, courtesy of Boma International Hospitality College. We have Chef Chris Button, yani just making sure we salivate and learn something new to do in the kitchen. Let's take a look.
Hi, hello, welcome to BIHC cooking segment today. My name's Chris Burton. I'm head of culinary arts here in BIHC in Nairobi, Kenya. And today we're going to look at making quite a typical breakfast, something called eggs benedict. Basically, eggs benedict is poached eggs on a English muffin topped with hollandaise sauce. So there's a couple of skill factors here that I'd like to take you through today. One of them will be making hollandaise sauce, and the other one will be learning how to poach an egg correctly. So what we need to do, we have the ingredients here. We have the eggs. We're going to do a couple of poached eggs for the muffin. We have the muffin, so we're going to put a poached egg on top. We have some ham. Traditionally, eggs benedict is with ham. If you don't like ham, or you can't eat ham, you could use chicken maybe. If you could also use bacon. You could, even if you want a vegetarian, you could maybe put some sliced avocado on the bottom. So there's plenty of other options, but traditionally it's always served with ham. We have some vinegar, which we're going to make something called a reduction, which I will explain in a moment. Some chopped parsley for decoration. We have some mixed herbs. And here we have something called clarified butter. Basically, this is butter that we heat up to split the oil. You know that ghee is used a lot in Indian cuisine, but it's clarified butter. So that will be for the hollandaise sauce. Okay, so I think the first thing I'd like to do is make a reduction. Now basically what I mean by a reduction is I'm going to put, this is going to be the flavouring for the hollandaise sauce, but we need to reduce it. In a lot of cookery, certainly when you're using wines, things are reduced to intensify the flavour. Okay, so I'm going to add into the pan just some white wine vinegar. I've got some herbs here. I've got some thyme here. This we've just taken out of the garden, which is outside. So we have some thyme. I have a little bit of tarragon. Tarragon is a herb. It's got a very anise flavour, aniseed flavour. And I've just got a few parsley stalks that I'm going to put in as well. And maybe just a little bit of salt. Now you can see the liquid there. I want to reduce this by about half. Okay, so when we reduce things, we put on the stove and we give some power just to get it to boil and then let it evaporate. Okay, and that will give us some flavour for the hollandaise sauce. So for the hollandaise sauce, this is the main thing we're going to do today. This is going to take a little bit of time. We need 2 egg yolks. Okay, we're not going to use the white. So what I tend to do is open the egg like this, and then the way I do it, or you'll probably find chefs do it, to separate, is just put it in your fingers, waggle your fingers like that, and then we're going to put the egg yolk like that inside the bowl. Again, one more. We're going to open and then like that. Now the egg white, don't think we're going to waste it. You can use the egg white, you can make meringue, for example. You can put these in a container, the egg whites, and you can freeze them. So don't think it's going to go to waste, because it isn't. Now let me wash my hands. Now I have the egg yolks here and I have my reduction. So I just need to wait maybe 1 more minute for this to reduce a little bit more. Now what we're going to do is we need to cook the eggs. Okay? We can't cook them directly on the stove because they will go to scrambled egg. So we always cook the egg yolks for hollandaise sauce over something called a bain-marie. A bain-marie is basically a container or a pot of water which is hot. Bain-Maries we use a lot for cooking, and because there's no direct heat going anywhere, the eggs will not go to scramble. They will cook, they will become thick, and they will coagulate the proteins, but they will not burn. Okay, so we're going to make we call it a sabayon in French. It's a French word, but we're just going to cook the egg yolks out. So you can see my reduction is coming along there, which is pretty good. I've got some water here which is just below boiling point. Okay, and then we're going to make the sabayon. So I think we're good to go with the reduction. I'm just going to put a little bit inside with the eggs like that, just to add a little bit of flavour. And then we're going to mix like that. Then I'm going to put over the bain-marie. Now what we need to do, this is something you have to stand and keep doing and keep watching. So we're basically going to keep mixing and mixing until the eggs start to coagulate or get thicker. You probably find they need to get around about 82 degrees before they start to coagulate. This, of course, will kill any pathogenic bacteria. As we know, in eggs we have issues with salmonella, so this will kill the salmonella. So you can see the water is just below boiling point. And once we've made the sabayon, or we've cooked the eggs, we will use the water below to poach our eggs. So we can see, or you can see, or I can see, the eggs are starting to thicken and cook out. You can see that we need to take them off quick, because if not, it will go too far and it will go too thick and we won't be able to work properly. So there we have, you can see the eggs are ready. Now, what I'm going to do now, when I have a cloth, we're going to gradually, and this is whether you're making mayonnaise with oil and eggs, or in this case we're making hollandaise, we need to emulsify. So we need to gradually add the butter, not too fast. We add a mix, and you can see the butter there is nicely clarified. I'll try and do it so I can show you what I mean. So we carefully, drop by drop by drop by drop, drop in, we mix it to make sure it's emulsified, and then we add a little bit more. It takes time. You can do this on a mixing machine. If we were in the hotels and we were making 5 or 6 litres of hollandaise sauce, of course we'll do it on the machine, but we're only making a little bit. So you can see it's becoming thicker because the butter and the egg yolks are emulsifying. So we have a chemical process that everything is amalgamated. Sometimes you add the butter too fast, or you add too much, it will split. Okay, and then the butter and the egg yolks will become split. It will look awful and horrible, and we have to start again. So if this happens, all you would do is take a spoonful of boiling water, add it to the mixture, whisk it in, and it will all amalgamate and come back together again. So once you've got it actually started, you have an emulsification, you can go a little bit faster. It's good when you've got 2 people doing this. One can pour and one can whisk. When we were in the hotels and when we're in the hotel kitchens and we're making this in the kitchen, we would always get the young commie or apprentice to whisk, because otherwise your arm would become so stiff from whisking. But you can see it's coming together and we're having a nice emulsified sauce. And as I say, once you've got it moving, you can start to add a little bit faster. We're not going to need all this butter, just enough to give ourselves enough sauce. And if it's too thick, you can add a little bit of cream, you can add a little bit of water, just to thin it out a bit. Because the more butter you add, the more it emulsifies, and the thicker it will become. So what I will do is I will take a little bit more of the reduction, because I have a little bit of liquid here, And I'm just going to add the last of the reduction inside, and this will thin it out a little bit, as you're going to see. If it goes too thin, well, then I add some more butter. But you want more of a sauce like that. So it's a pouring sauce. What we need to do with this now, we need to season it. When we talk about seasoning, it means adding salt. Here I have a little bit of sea salt. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. If you're using salted butter, obviously don't add so much. So we add the butter, we add the salt, sorry, we taste. That's got a nice buttery, vinegary flavour, nice and acidic. If you want, you can add a little bit of lemon juice, as you prefer. So again, we taste. The seasoning is good. Maybe I add a little bit more butter, and then we should be. Skill elements that I'd like to show you, just so that if you ever do it at home, you do it this way, it never fails. So, the first thing we always do, I have a pan of water that is simmering. Now, that's going a little bit too fast. Whenever you're poaching eggs, you need to have just under boiling. So you need to play around with the gas. Not too hot, not too cold. It needs to be about 82, 85 degrees. I'm going to add to the water a little bit of vinegar, not too much, and a little bit of salt. Now the vinegar helps the eggs coagulate when they're cooking. And always add some salt. Okay? Now, I'm going to make 2 poached eggs. I'm going to take the eggs, 1 egg, and I'm going to crack it like that. And you can tell, a little point of fact, you can normally tell when an egg is fresh, when the egg white is quite high and it looks like that, so gelatinous. When the eggs go off or the eggs become older and you crack the egg, it will spread out all over the plate. So this is a good way of seeing that the egg is quite fresh. Okay? Now, we have the egg. Now, little trick. Let me get a spoon. The best way of doing poached eggs is to swirl the water to get a whirlpool going like that. And then once you've got that whirlpool going, you carefully pour in the egg like that. And what happens, because the water is spinning around, the egg white will cover and go over the egg yolk. So it will give you a nice firm round egg yolk. It's difficult to do when I have 2, but let's see if I can do it, because I want to cook both eggs at the same time. So if I'm carefully move the egg, because I don't want to break the egg inside, and I carefully go in like that. And you can see that egg white is there's quite a lot of egg white. So that's telling me that egg white isn't as fresh as the other one. The egg white is fine to use, but it's not as fresh. So and we need to leave the egg whites in for 3 or 4 minutes, and we need to be super careful because we don't want to. If the water gets cool, we just add a little bit more heat. So we've got some of the elements ready for the dish. We have the hollandaise sauce ready. We have the eggs poaching nicely there. Then the next thing I'd like to do is take the muffins, the English muffin, and I'm going to carefully toast them underneath our grill. So there we have the 2 pieces of muffin. As you can probably see, the egg is going to sit on top of there. Now, it's clean down. Always make sure we're nice and clean and tidy and organized. So, poached eggs are looking good. I'm just going to take off some of this egg white from off the top like that. Now, one of the things you will find that chefs do, which again it's something that saves us time, once we've poached the egg, or we've got the egg semi-poached, to save time so you don't have to keep poaching eggs, we would then have a container of ice water here, and then we'll put the egg in the ice water to arrest the cooking, so we can keep them semi-poached in the fridge ready. If you're cooking poached eggs for 300 or 400 people, it's virtually not impossible, but it would be very difficult to cook all the eggs at the same time. So we'd pre-cook everything maybe the day before, and then once we wanted to heat the eggs, we would carefully add them to the water, or we could steam them to reheat them, and then we have poached eggs. So you can do these things and have a plan to prepare before. So these eggs, you know, we want these eggs, and we want them to be quite runny, because we want, when we cut inside, we want to have the egg yolk to come out and be quite, like to add another sauce. So you can see that egg is still wobbling, so it's going to be a minute or so. So what we can do while we're waiting for the eggs, we can start to make the plate. And I'm looking for a plate here. I think we've got a good plate here. So we can start to make the dish. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put our two muffins on there like that. I'm going to take a little bit of the hollandaise sauce from here, and I'm just going to spread a little bit on the bottom of the muffin like that. Okay, just to add another flavour. We'll leave the hollandaise there. Then we're going to take the ham. You can put as much on as you want, doesn't matter. I'm going to put a slice like that. Maybe we put the other slice on like that. Okay, so there we have the ham. I'm going to take the poached eggs now, and we have to be super careful. We hope these are going to stick okay and they don't fall off. So I'm going to take one of the eggs out like that, and you can see the egg is semi-liquid. It's not hard boiled or hard poached, but it's semi-poached. So I'm going to wait, and then that's what happens. Sometimes it slides off, so we need to be careful. So we carefully put the first poached egg on there. And as I say, this is quite a normal thing we would serve in hotels. You can have for breakfast, a snack, you can have for lunch. It's a pretty popular thing. So you just want to dab off the water so you don't have water swimming around on the plate. So there you can see we have the two eggs on top like that. Always clean the plates, make sure there's no fingerprints. We need to be very particular. I then want to take the hollandaise sauce. I'll use this. And then we're going to put the hollandaise sauce on top like that, and let it all fall off like that. What I will do with the rest of the hollandaise sauce, I'm going to put into a little jug here, and then we can serve this. We can serve this too if people want to have a little bit of extra hollandaise on the egg benedict. So we don't like to waste. Okay, so we'll clean up we clean there. Remember, we eat with our eyes, so we need to make sure everything looks good. You know, we can serve the hollandaise something like that. I'm going to put on just a little bit. I've got some chopped parsley here, just to give it a little bit of greenery. I also have here some micro herbs. This is just a little bit of cress, but it just adds a little bit of decoration, makes it look quite nice. Okay, and also another little chefy trick is a little bit of olive oil. Put your finger over the bottle, and then we're going to just carefully just drip a few drops around like that. over there. It gives it another dimension. And then we can serve the sauce like that if people want some more sauce. So there we have eggs Benedict with ham. So it's an English muffin topped with ham with a nice poached egg and served with a nice buttery hollandaise sauce. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.
That's the famous egg Benedict. I hope you learned a new, different way of making your eggs and you enjoyed that. That was a Chef Chris Button of the Boma International Hospitality College. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for SMSing in. Thank you for talking to us on social media. Let's do this all over again tomorrow. Have yourselves a beautiful, beautiful day. Adios.